Hello and welcome to your Urban Connection. Remember, this is the channel that is often imitated, but is never duplicated. So let's get right into this story, ladies and gentlemen. I've been telling you guys all year long that Donald Trump has been paying Black people, in particular Black males, to support him and endorse him. And I provided you with the receipts here back in July when we had the Black barber down in Atlanta that was paid by Donald Trump's team to put on what they billed as a small business workshop, which turned out to be anything but. It was nothing more than an attempt, a ploy to get Donald Trump to get Byron Donalds and Ben Carson and one other guy, conservative Republican Black guy, to gather several Black males from the Atlanta area to participate in what you would have to call I don't want to call it a town hall meeting because it was at a barbershop, but that's what it was. And so this guy was paid $4,800. Now, that was not said up front. But anyhow, we did a show on that back in July, and we provided the receipts. Now, I have today at a program and a show that you are going to be amazed at. And I'm going to tell you why. Because Donald Trump and his team have been touting about how much support they're getting from Black males. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me just tell you, I've said to you before, there's a lot of Black males that will sell out for just a few dollars. They'll sell their mama. And a lot of these guys are being paid by Donald Trump. They're paid for their support. And they will waver and they'll sell out. But there's one guy, a Black rapper, he's a well-known rapper, has come forward to say that he was offered and he turned down $3 million to lend his support and perform at Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden. Now, it was billed as a rally, ladies and gentlemen, but let me just tell you, it was nothing more than a clown show. That's all it was, featuring three or four older white males who are way, way behind the times. Now, let me tell you who they were. Of course, if you saw it, number one, you had a outdated, dumb ex-wrestler calls himself Hulk Hogan. Now, Hulk Hogan was popular in the 70s and 80s and 90s, but Hulk Hogan's not popular today. He's a has-been. He's washed up. The same is true for Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil was there. Dr. Phil is washed up. He's past his prime. And then you had the disgraced, convicted felon from New York City who used to be a well-respected mayor by the name of Rudy Giuliani. Okay? So you had at least these three clowns, and then you had a third rated and graded racist, calls himself a comedian, who basically might have cost Donald Trump the election with his offensive comments and racist comments about almost every ethnic group you can think of. Okay, and I don't even want to mention his name. And neither does Donald Trump now. As a matter of fact, Donald Trump just today said he didn't even know the guy, if you can believe that. That's a familiar line from Trump. Whenever somebody comes on that is embarrassing him, okay, he says, I don't know the guy. He didn't know who David Duke was back in 2015, okay? So he doesn't know any of these people, all right? But anyhow, so here's the deal. And I'm going to show you, and I'm going to tell you who this Black male rapper is, and you will recognize him. Most of you will recognize him when I show you who it is. But what the guy did is he appeared on the Breakfast Show, which is a morning radio show that is hosted by Charlemagne. And he was asked, the guy was asked if he had been approached by Donald J. Trump. And he said that he had turned down an offer to perform at Trump's hate-fueled rally at Madison Square Garden on Sunday night. Now, he went on to say that I got a call, but they wanted for me to do Sunday, okay, which was when the Madison Square Garden so-called rally, which I call clown show. I want to call it something else, but I can't say it on a family show, okay? But anyhow, now one of the hosts, the DJ there on Charlemagne's show, and his co-host seemed a bit confused that this offer had happened so recently, citing a report that said Trump had asked 50 Cent to perform at the Republican National Convention over the summer. 50 Cent clarified that he was indeed asked to perform at the RNC, but also was invited to perform on Sunday at the Madison Square Garden rally. They offered $3 million, he said. But you know what he told him? He said, I'm going to tell you, and 50 Cent has never been one to hold his tongue. He said that he was not going to be, he's not let Donald Trump be his political pimp. Okay? That's what he said. He said he isn't going to let Donald Trump be his political pimp. And that's what Donald Trump has done to so many of these so-called black men. All right? That's what he's done. Now, I don't have any receipts. I don't have any proof, but I highly suspect that there are several of these black podcasters, such as Philip Scott, Antoine Daniels, the Black and White Network, and I can't remember that guy's name, okay? And there's a couple of females involved in there. But these people are, in my estimation, in my opinion, they're paid to promote and support Donald Trump, okay? Now, that's just my opinion. I don't have the proof just yet, but I'm working on it. But anyhow, look, here's the deal. When you read stories like this, you have to wonder how much money was Amber Rose paid to make a fool of herself at the RNC, okay? Because that's exactly what she did. Oh, she goes, oh, Donald Trump is not a racist. Because my dad said he's not a racist. No, he's not a racist. And I support Donald Trump. And yeah, but she was paid, ladies and gentlemen. Now, how much, I can't tell you. But I guarantee you, she was paid, okay? And it's just pitiful. Look, here's the thing. You go to Donald Trump's rally, okay? Donald Trump cannot get an A-rated performer, entertainer, either singer, comedian, whatever. He cannot get one to participate in his rallies. He looks up and he sees with Kamala Harris having the likes of Beyonce, having to support an endorsement of people like Taylor Swift, okay? These are prominent entertainers that have large followings. Donald Trump does not attract those kind of people. As a matter of fact, they don't even want him playing their music. They don't even want their music nor their name to be associated with the likes of Donald Trump and what he stands for. Okay? So this guy, and I'm going to put his picture up here so you can see, because his name is Curtis Jackson, but he goes by 50 Cent. So let me put his picture up here, and there he is right there. That's the guy that turned down $3 million, and that's the guy that Trump wanted to come to his rally in Madison Square Garden and support him and perform. And he refused. He politely refused. Now, my first thought was that 50 Cent probably refused because knowing Donald Trump, he wouldn't come through with a payment of $3 million. Oh, he'll make all promises, okay? But if you're going to work for Donald Trump, you better get your money up front, or otherwise you probably won't get it. Do you know that there are major cities right now that are still waiting for payment for services that were performed for rallies for Donald Trump when he was the president? He's not paid them. They provided police protection services. They provided all kinds of services, ladies and gentlemen. You know, when Trump comes to town, it basically disrupts your town for that day or for the time that he's there. And it costs a lot of money for them to provide the protection for him, and not only him, but for also for the citizens in their cities. And he never pays them. All right. So anybody that knows Donald Trump and knows his history knows that, hey, if you want to do something for Donald Trump and you're promising money, get your money up front. But I just want to say right here, thanks and a big shout out to Curtis Jackson, also known as 50 Cent, for standing his ground, not being tempted by the money from Donald Trump to the tune of $3 million. He said, no, thanks, but no thanks. And he said, hell no. Okay. Now, I can tell you right now that he is really, really proud of the fact that he did not participate in that clown show at Madison Square Garden on Sunday. Okay. Because that's all it was. I mean, look, you know, really, you cannot really expect anything more from the Trump campaign and Trump himself. And yet Trump will pretend. Trump has never apologized for this third-rate so-called comedian basically offending every ethnic group there is and perhaps costing him the election. He's never apologized for that. He'd rather say, I don't know who the guy was. Well, it doesn't make any difference whether you know him or not. You know what he did, and you know the damage he did to your campaign. So, I mean, come on. But he cannot do the right thing and apologize or take responsibility. Look, you had to book him on the show, or somebody on your campaign booked him on the show. And don't tell me they didn't know what he was going to say, because all those people have to submit a script of what they're going to say because it has to be fed into the teleprompter. So don't tell me that you didn't know what he was going to say. You did know. You didn't care, because that's your MO, Mr. Trump, and everybody knows it. And also, let me ask you one thing. Did you notice there was no females on that program? And yet he's losing females all across this country by a wide margin. But he doesn't care. He's not trying to attract any females. He wants white males. And he wants all the black males that he can buy. Okay? And that's what he's doing. But I got to ask one other question before I go. Whatever happened to Tim Scott? Whatever happened to Tim? You realize before the RNC, Tim Scott was everywhere with Trump. Everywhere. You see Donald Trump, you right behind him, you see Tim Scott. Tim Scott was licking his booth. Tim Scott was taking the mic. Said, oh, Mr. President, oh, I love you. I mean, almost wanted to kiss him right in his face. I thought they were going to kiss for a while. Okay? But have you noticed that since Donald Trump did not pick him, even though he was saying Donald Trump is not a racist, because I'm going to be the first black vice president, but have you noticed that since Donald Trump picked J.D. Vance, nobody's seen nor heard of Tim Scott? What happened to him? I mean, he was all over the place. Every time you saw Trump, you saw Tim Scott licking his boots. Where's he at? Well, I don't know where he's at, but now he's been replaced by Byron Donalds, okay? Another convicted felon, okay? But I guess, as they say, birds of the feather flock together, okay? So anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to tell you, I want you all to know that Curtis Jackson, also known as 50 Cent, did a worthy deed and said to Donald Trump, I'm not going to let you be my pimp. I'm not going to participate at your rally. I'm not going to perform at your rally. I'm not going to endorse you. No. Matter of fact, he said, I stay away from politics. Okay? He said, because if you get involved in politics, no matter which side you take, you're going to offend a lot of people on the other side. So he says, I stay out of it. He says, basically, I saw what happened to Kanye West. Okay? Okay, you saw what Kanye West made a fool of himself, being pimped out by Donald J. Trump. All right? So my hat's off to Curtis Jackson, also known as 50 Cent, for standing his ground, for speaking his truth, and not kowtowing to a few dollar bills or $3 million bills. He said, no, you can keep your money and I'll keep my integrity and keep my reputation intact because I don't play that game, Mr. Trump. All right, that's my show. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.